My name's James Parker. I just thought I'd make a little video on how to make a concrete basin vanity unit for your bathroom. Now, I've seen lots of videos on YouTube on how to make concrete worktops and some videos on how to make the smaller basins, but the one I'm building is 1.4 meters long, and I couldn't find anything on YouTube to show how to do that. So I thought I'd make this little video and hopefully it'll help someone. So let's just change the camera around. Right, so what we've got here is the mould for the sink. I've already started it, as you can see. So it's made out of melamine coated chipboard, just your furniture board, and I'm doing my vanity unit 6-inch deep, so 150mm deep. And first of all, I've just built a simple box, so that's on the outside. You can see this here on the outside. Screwed it together, and then I've siliconed it round the edge with good quality builder's silicone. You can see that brown silicone on the edge. That just gives you the radius that is going to be on the edge of the sink once it comes out of the mould. I've done that with a 10mm drill bit, so just squirted the silicone in that corner and then ran a 10mm drill bit along it, let it go off, and then peeled the excess back with a knife, a Stanley knife blade. The centre bit that forms the inside of the sink is made out of MDF. Now I've made it out of 18mm because I couldn't get hold of anything thinner, but ideally you want to get it 12mm MDF. It just makes it easier when you're taking it out once you've cast the concrete, because if you imagine you've got to chisel that MDF out and smash it all up, 18mm will take you a bit longer. 12mm is the better option, but anyway, I've done it in 18mm, and then it's coated in epoxy resin to give it a smooth finish. You want the smooth finish obviously because you don't want the concrete to stick to it in any way. It's got a fall on it. I don't know if you can see in the bright sunlight, but there is a fall down to a square here. This is so it drains. You'll be able to see in my other photos how I did that. So here you can see the MDF box with the 4 sections leading to the square in the middle. The square is just mounted a bit higher on it with a piece of MDF underneath, and then the 4 triangles go up to it, and it's all been filled and sanded. Once I've resined it, I've wet and dried it just to get it perfectly smooth, and then I've siliconed that down the edge there, the same as I did the outside box. So now it's ready for the next stage. So here's a quick little tip. On the silicone beads down here, if you can't get your silicone gun in because it's too deep, like me, I've done 150mm deep, and I can't get a silicone gun nozzle in to silicone that, you might find one of these helpful. It's a flexible, extendable nozzle. I just got that from Screwfix. Screw it on the end, and then you can get right down the side there, look. So the next thing I want to do is put a bit of reinforcing in. Now I've got this reinforcing here just from a local supplier of steel fencing. They do cages and things like that for animals, and it's 2-inch square, and I think the gauge is 10, but I'm not sure, but it's quite stiff, and I've had it not galvanized because I believe bare metal, rusty metal, sticks a lot better to concrete. So I've got a sheet of it there, and I'm going to bend it and form a cage to put embed in the concrete. Right, so I've cut the mesh down to size, and I've just left it because my depth of my box is 150mm. I've left 100mm extra to fold down to form the edges of the basket of the mesh. So cut out 100 by 100 square in each corner all the way around. So now I've just marked in 100mm here, and I'm going to scar that with the grinder. That'll enable me to just bend that over a little bit easier to form the cage. Right, so that's the mesh cut, and you can see how I've curled it over, just scarred the wire and just curled it over. Took a bit of effort, but you can get there, wear a pair of gloves. and you can see how it returns down into the upstands of the sink. I've got it in the middle of the channel all the way around, and also I have cut out the section of the mesh in the middle so that I can get my waste in, which is the next step. So this cage, we'll put some concrete in first, and then the cage will go in halfway through concreting it, and then it'll be covered up so the cage sits in the middle of the concrete. Right, so we're all set up ready for concreting. I've put it on 2 pallets and leveled it. It's very important that you get it absolutely level so that the concrete sets level on the bottom. And you can see I've put the waste in. It's the waste that I'm going to use in the actual sink, and then I've coated it. I've actually slotted a toilet roll over the top of it. It's the absolute perfect size, and then coated it with some duct tape, and that's siliconed in place, so that'll provide the hole through when it's all finished. And that's it. It's all ready for concreting. You can probably see I'm inside a tent, so we're in the back garden, and the tent's just going to provide a bit of shelter should it rain, and also it's going to stay out here tonight. I don't want the furniture board getting wet, so it's just a bit of protection. So all set up now for concreting tomorrow. Right, so we're just about to concrete, so I'm just going to get this all oiled up and waxed up so that it releases from the mould properly. Now I'm using, first of all, this insulator wax just to give it 3 coats, just to help it release. It's something I just had in the shed, and I've used it for polishing cars up, but it's like an industrial grade wax. It's actually quite expensive, but I've had it for years, so I've used that. And then good old Spanish extra virgin olive oil. You can use mold release, you can buy special releases, but I find these 2 work perfectly as well. So let's get it all oiled up, and then we'll get on with mixing. Right, so I'm going to use 40 Newton concrete. I'm going to use some of this super concentrate mortar plasticizer and some black mortar tint. So I'm going to use 4 bags of that, mix 4 at a time. I'm going to use 5 ml of that, and I'm going to use 600 grams of the powder, and I hope that gives me the right colour. We will find out. I know that 333 grams of the powder is approximately 2% of the cement in the concrete, so by using 600 I'm just under 4%. Right, so that's 4 bags in, and now I'm adding the 600 grams of pigment, doing it all dry. Going to mix it all up dry to get a good mix, then add the water and 5 ml of the super plasticizer. Okay, so I've just poured a little bit in around the edge and really worked into the corners with my fingers, and now I've put the reinforcing in, making sure it's not touching any of the mould. So let's put the rest of the concrete in. So it's fully concreted now, and I've just got to vibrate it to get any air bubbles out. I'm using a SDS drill just on hammer mode. Right, so that's fully vibrated. Really went round it quite a lot, sort of about 20 minutes, half an hour, making sure all the bubbles come out. And then I've just tamped the top with a bit of a level, and then troweled it up with my plaster finishing trowel just to get a smooth bottom on it. It's going to be sanded anyway, but everything helps. And that's it now. So I'm going to leave that for 3 days, and the next section will be when I come back to it to break the mould off. That mould release, well, the oil and the wax has worked an absolute treat. It just peels away. the outside mould off, and I'm really happy with how it's turned out. You've got this lovely marbling in the concrete, and there's hardly any air bubbles. So now I've just got to get the internal mould out now that I made out of MDF. Wish me luck. Right, so the mould is off, the sink is out. It took quite a bit of effort. Actually, the sides came off really easily, the top came off easily, and then the sides of the inside mould came away quite easily. It was just the base which I knew would be quite hard to get off. But what I did is chiseled away one section of the base and got it right down to a thin piece of MDF, which it effectively is like a piece of cardboard. And once that came out, the three remaining bits just broke out really easily. So that's it. I'm really pleased with it. There's a few little pinholes in the concrete, and I did catch it slightly with the chisel just here as I was taking out the first bit. So next steps is to mix up a little bit of slurry, cement and pigment to the same ratio that I made the concrete in the first place, and to rub it in all the little pinholes and all the little bits on it, fill it all up, let that go off, and then give it a nice wet and dry sanding. But that's it. I'm chuffed to bits with it. Okay, so here's the sink after I've given it a good wet and dry sandpapering all over, all the edges, all the radiuses, really going over them to get them smooth. And then like I said, filled all the little pinholes, sanded all that, and then I've sealed it with this H-Seal concrete countertop sealer, which has worked lovely. It's about 5 coats of that, rolled it on, and it's just drying in the sun now. There's still some damp patches there, it's just drying, but it gives a really nice sheen in the sun. Don't know if you can see that. It's like a matte finish. So yeah, 5 coats of that, and then I might put a couple of coats of wax on it as well. But that's it finished then, just ready to put into the bathroom when the bathroom's all finished. And here you can see the final sink installed on top of the vanity unit into the finished bathroom. The bathroom has a vintage industrial theme with concrete tiles, so the sink blends in perfectly. Hope you enjoyed the video, and hit the subscribe button, and I'll try and upload some more. Thanks for watching.